Hey guys, welcome to another video from Ooof Lee Gaming, and today we are going to be reviewing the early access version of Everspace 2. Now, obviously it's the second game because it has the Telltale 2 in the title. However, Everspace 1 was fairly different. I mean, it kind of played the same, but the gameplay overall was different because the first one was done as a roguelike. I'm never sure whether it's roguelike or roguelite. I've heard it pronounced both ways because I think everybody is as confused as I am. But it's one of those ones where you're expected to die, you go through over and over again and gradually increase your power and ability and get better at it and work your way sort of further through the game. It played, from that standpoint, it's very much like FTL, but it did play very much like Freelancer or Darkstar 1, which are two games I really like. In fact, things don't work there anymore, I can say this. I actually bunked off to play Freelancer because I knew it was coming on that day, so I actually bunked off like at lunchtime and came home and played Freelancer because I played the demo and I thought it was good, and it was excellent, and I don't regret that in the slightest. Haha, take that for cutting my contract, you bastards. But yeah, so we have Everspace 2, and what it's done this time around is it's actually ditched the roguelike formula. So instead you get, I was going to say an open world, but it's not. Basically it's an open galaxy. I mean, there's not as much content in it as I'd like. I think there's only a few systems in it in its current state. But each does have a lot of content in. There's sort of random events, hidden objects. You'll be flying through hyperspace and something will pop up on the sensors and you can go check it out. So for those who haven't played Freelancer, the first game, or Darkstar 1, basically I would never advise using a joypad or a HOTAS controller. I always say use a keyboard and mouse on these. The sort of keyboard deals with your sort of engines, so boosts, forward thrust, reverse thrust, strafing, all that sort of thing, and the devices that you can mount on your ship. And your mouse deals with turning and aiming, and it worked well in all the previous games and it works well here. So the storyline is basically quite forgettable. You're tucked up in a job you're doing, your wingman is seriously injured, you get help from this other guy, you go sit on his base with your wingman in like critical medical condition, so you freeze him, and then you go out doing bits for your new buddy who wants different things. And it's quite varied, I will give it that. I mean, the stuff that you have to do is quite varied. I mean, there's one where you have to steal medical supplies, and you do this by turning off the scans and then going in and sort of looting the ships before the scans reinitialize and getting out of there. So there's quite a bit of variety. There's also planetary missions, so you fly sort of on the surface of a planet, which is quite nice to see, and you actually go in sort of caves as well, which is where some of the mining occurs. The mining, you can mine, you can trade, but I find it quite incidental. So if you're flying through doing a mission and you spot a mineable patch on an asteroid, say, so I just kind of do that and get the ore and then sell it. And trading for me is sort of the same thing, whereas it's a byproduct of combat. So you loot all of the objects that destroyed enemy, just drop, and then you just take it to a station or a ship and sell it. I'm sure you could like delve more into that, but for me it's not been a particular worry. You can buy other ships as well, there's quite a few. Some are interesting actually. Some you should have 3 stats on your ship, which is your hull, your armor, and your shields. It goes through your shields, then your armor, then of course your hull, at which point you are dead when it reaches 0, and it can reach 0 rather quickly. The ships are sort of tilted to specialise one way or the other, like there's a ship with barely any shields but a lot of armour. So obviously it's better at going at different enemies. The weapons do different damage, so you have energy and physical damage. Energy damage is good against shields, physical damage is better against armour and hull. So you can fit 2 weapons on your base ship. Other ships will have different amounts. You also have secondary weapons such as missiles and rockets that you can map, which is mapped to your right mouse button. Left mouse button obviously being the main fire. And it works really nicely. It's real fun. There's no sort of... It's just a glorious melange of things I like, really. There's some Rebel Galaxy in there. Unfortunately not the soundtrack, which was amazing. Obviously Freelancer, Dark Star 1, and obviously the first Everspace as well, because obviously it's very iterative of that gameplay being the sequel. But taking out the roguelite mechanics really improve it for me, because I'm not a huge fan of roguelite games. I get the appeal of them, but each run you're a little bit better, and you maybe get a little bit further. But you've still got to do like all that stuff over and over and over again. It gets a bit grindy for my liking. And this is a guy that doesn't mind grind usually, but they kind of test my patience. There is a lot of looting to be done in this game. You'll get weapons, you'll get new armor, new sensors, engine cores, all sorts of stuff will be dropped, and you just basically have to try and kit yourself out. It's very similar to something like Diablo. I mean, sometimes you can just look at the damage it does and say, well, that's better. Other times it will have different elements. I remember one shield that I picked up looked better than the shield I had, so I put it in, and then I noticed my shield wasn't recharging. I'm like, what's going on? So I docked at a station which like you can repair, and like it recharges shields automatically. So I'm like, why have I got to keep doing this? And then I realised I didn't read the description on the shield. It actually said it only recharges while you're boosting. I was like, oh, that explains it then. You have what's called cruise drive, so it's just basically a way of like going a lot faster. And then you have, I think it's jump drive. It's something like that. I can't remember the name exactly. But this will get you to different points in the solar system, which is measured in light seconds. And being an elite dangerous guy, I kind of like that. And you can basically navigate manually while you're in that. Bring up your map, go towards different things. While you're in that, your sensors may pick up other items of interest, such as distress calls or pirate outposts or undiscovered sort of locations. When you do hit a location, though, it becomes immediately obvious they're all very instant. So it's not a genuine sort of open galaxy, if you like. It is, I go here, this is my mission area. I go there, this is my mission area. Because if you fly in one direction, it will warn you that you're going out of bounds, and then sort of turn you back around and send you back in. It's not a huge problem. Perhaps they could have made it so it was a little bit sort of more lore friendly. Like maybe there could have been a reason you didn't go that far out, like your sensors would lose track of where you were, and you became lost in the deep black or something along those lines. But as it stands, big red warning comes up, like in all games that use it, and just say, yep, you're coming to the boundary, you better turn around now, otherwise we're going to turn you around for you, you bastard. So it's the same on planets as well. So you have on planets, there are different points that you can visit on a planet, which basically means going up and then coming back down again. I don't know. I mean, I can see why. I can see why it's done that way. I mean, it basically means they have control over the area. So anything they do and don't want to happen is easier to implement. And obviously, you know, you're not going to want to sit there for much like Elite. Like nothing's worse on Elite Dangerous than jumping into a system and then discovering where you're going is like 580,000 light seconds away, and you're just like, ugh, I'm just going to be sat here for a quarter of an hour now, which is the case. So they're avoiding doing that, I suppose, which is a nice thing. The gameplay is fun. It is very arcadey, as you might expect from these sort of games if you played them before, and it is fun. The ships that you fight also have the whole armor shield arrangement, so you have to think about what weapons you want to use, because you'll get ones that do very high damage to armor but virtually nothing to shields, and you're kind of like, well, do I just peck the shields down? Is there just a little bit of shield on this guy? Or do I just peck it down with this and not bother swapping it out? Lots of different guns, lots of different stuff to pick up. It can be tough. Don't go in thinking this is going to be a cakewalk. I mean, it's me, I play on easy, and there are times when you get your ass handed to you. Big time, especially if you're outnumbered, they will surround you and you'll be fired upon from pretty much every direction. Which is nice because, like, why wouldn't they do that? You know, that makes sense to me. But it's also, you can like get wrecked really fast if you get a lot of ships firing and hitting you all at the same time. You can engage like your jump and your hyperspace pretty freely. I've had it deny me once. I've also been attacked on a landing pad before, which was new but also made sense to me. I bailed out of a fight and I was quite close to like this ship that you could dock at, and it's just, the landing pads are just like on the top, so there's no protection there. So I landed and I was like, repair, restuck, and then I started to get shot. I was like, oh, I don't know whether or not it's intended for that to happen, but I kind of liked it. I mean, why would they stop attacking me just because I've landed somewhere? They don't give a fuck. They want to blow me up and get what is ever in my hold, you know? Screw that noise. Of course they're going to shoot me. Whether or not that's a symptom of a bug, I don't know, but I liked it. I mean, the game itself, the developers have said it's 12 to 18 months away from being fully completed. It did release, I think it was on the 18th of January. And it is asking £32, so it's not that solid AA finished game territory. So it's quite a lot of money for an early access game, but it's very positive in its Steam reviews. It's done by a company called Rockfish, who of course did the first game, and has won a number of rewards. Looks like in Germany. There's a few. And DevGam, so yeah, it's got a few awards there, so it looks like it's not going to go under. We've had some more mainstream media review it as well, such as PC Gamer, PC Invasion and Boomstick Gaming. They don't give scores for early access games, as they probably shouldn't, but I probably will. But yeah, it's promising. It's got, I mean, I've been playing, how long have I been playing it for? Let's see, 8.7 hours played so far. And I really haven't hit a hard endpoint in the missions or anything that sort of screams like I'm out of content, big pardon. So that's good. I mean, I don't know how much more there is to go. One of the cutscenes was partly finished. The last one that I had was scarcely animated and wasn't fully voice acted, so instead of the characters basically having conversations like was the case in previous cutscenes, there was just basically one voice narrating the entire thing and telling you what was going on, which isn't great. It's serviceable, but it was in progress. It did say the cutscene was a work in progress, so obviously that's going to be brought up to the level of the previous ones. The previous ones are done in a sort of comic booky style, with minimum sort of animations, I guess similar to motion comics maybe. It's not my particular favourite, but I mean that's just my taste. So I mean there's nothing wrong in telling a story in a cutscene in that fashion. It's just not something I'm particularly appreciative of. But anyway, this is Everspace 2. If you like what you've heard and want to check it out, I'd say go for it. I mean, it's not. I mean, it is quite expensive for an early access game, but for a game overall, it's not that expensive. I was lucky enough to get a Steam voucher for my birthday, and this is partially what I spent it on. So, and I'm happy with it. I can't really give it any higher recommendation than that. There's some puzzle solving in it as well. Stuff like you can blow up bigger asteroids that have explosives already on, but you need to circle the asteroid and basically arm them within a few seconds of each other, and you need to get them all before the time runs out. I've tried it several times and never managed it, but you know, I'm a bumbling idiot, so that could be why I can't do it. There's other stuff like finding power cores and putting them in ports to open up parts of like wrecks, and you can get in there and get the goodies. So yeah, there's plenty of looting and scavenging and mining to be done. It is getting on for a looter shooter. It has RPG elements, so you can even the side characters have skills that you can get them, and they're sort of like work on projects, a bit like in Rage 2. So you bring them resources, and then you can put that into some of their projects, which will give in-game buffs. Your own one, you know, you have a standard progression tree. I think it's every 5 levels you get a point to put into it. So yeah, there's a lot to be said for the game. I mean, it is an early access, so it's not going to be, you know, fully featured just yet. I think that the earlier part of the game won't change that much. I think it's pretty intact right now. There's a few bits and pieces obviously going to do with a bit of polishing. There's a few engine effects and stuff which look a bit 2D to me, if that makes sense. It doesn't really look like there's much depth to it, but that's really nitpicky. It's a game that I'm very much enjoying playing. I believe the first one did have VR support. I could be wrong in saying that. Hang on, I own it. Why don't I just go look? This is what I shall do, and it will probably tell me. Well, it doesn't tell me. So, I could be wrong, but I was relatively certain I heard it was getting VR support. Yes, there we go, VR support. Okay. Yes, the first one does support VR, the second one does not, at least at this stage. It's possible that they will implement it later, which I would be down with, because you know what my opinion of playing space games in VR is, and that's all, yes, give it to me now, please. But as the base game isn't yet complete, that's an ask, and not one I would imagine that is a priority for them. Given how similar it looks and plays to the first game, I wouldn't imagine it'd be difficult to implement. The process of getting into the first game would probably be sort of portable to this one, I would imagine. So I wouldn't be surprised that if it ended up with VR support at some point, which would be lovely, because I like my persistent games with VR support, like Elite. That's awesome. It's almost an Elite review. I should just do one of those at some point. Maybe when the new expansion Odyssey comes out, maybe I'll delve back into that. But yeah, that's Everspace 2. I would give this a 7 out of 10. And I would give it higher, but it is early access. It is incomplete. And it is relatively expensive for a game of that nature. I like it better than the first one already, though. As I say, the roguelite thing just doesn't ring my bell. But I love all the variety in this. I love the fact that I've got my own head, and I can go here and I can do this, and there's side missions and random encounters and jobs you can pick up off of job boards to earn a bit of extra cash, which you will need. I find myself quite regularly running out of cash. There's a few missions where you need to buy stuff, and it seems impossibly expensive. But then you end up getting there anyway, so you're just kind of like, okay, got it. Wonderful. So yes, that is my review of Everspace 2. Let me know down below if you've played it and what you thought about it. And if you played the first one, did you play the first one? I never tried it with VR. Maybe I should go back and try it with VR. Enjoyed the first one, but the roguelike thing isn't my favourite way of playing games, so I kind of dropped out of it, if I'm honest. Maybe it's worth another look in VR. It was a decent game. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just the design decision of roguelike just nailed it for me. Anyway, guys, that's all for now. I've been rambling for a bit, so take it easy, and I'll catch you next time.